I'm Mark Silverthorn. I hope you enjoyed this video. Today we're going to talk about how to avoid collection calls. This is an issue that can really upset people. I mean, nobody wants to talk to a bill collector. And when I was a lawyer representing consumers, I would literally have people crying on the phone after they had spoken to a bill collector. Let's canvass the reasons why you might not want to speak to a bill collector. Number one, you may not be emotionally prepared to speak to a bill collector at the present time. And secondly, these calls not only can be a nuisance, they can be annoying and they can be very upsetting. And finally, it's important that if you're going to address your debt situation in some way by dealing with your creditor or its collection agent, that the interaction that you have with them is at a time of your choosing. And that's because you're going to be making better decisions. I'm going to talk about some of the various ways that you can deal with this issue of avoiding collection calls. Number one, you can change your phone number. If you do change your phone number, it's important that when you give it out to friends and family, that you tell them not to give your new phone number out to anyone. And it's also important that you do not apply for credit after you have obtained your new phone number, because bill collectors will have access to your credit report and they may have access to your new phone number. Number two, I'd like to talk about screening your phone calls. And there's three ways that you can do that. You can do it through technology. You can have other people screen your calls, and you can screen your own calls by essentially pretending to be somebody else. So let's talk about technology. You can use voicemail, let all your calls go to voicemail, and then just return the calls that you want. If you've got call display, you can be selective in terms of what calls that you answer. You know, bill collectors, their phone numbers will say unknown or private number. Now, let's talk about screening your calls. If you're getting calls at home, you can have another family member answer the phone and simply take messages, but not hand the phone to you unless you know who it is. If a collector calls you, then you can pretend to be somebody else. If you're called at work, you can pretend to be an assistant or a colleague of yourself and not identify yourself and just say you'll take a message and give it to the person. If it's a call at home, then you can pretend to be somebody else and say you'll leave a message for the person. Now, the third scenario that I want to talk to is the scenario where a collector calls you and gets you on the phone. Because of privacy laws, a collector is not legally entitled to start a collection call until the bill collector has confirmed that you are in fact the person who is legally responsible for the account. So in a typical scenario, the bill collector will call up and say, John Smith, please, or are you John Smith? And if you say yes, then that means that the bill collector can start the collection call. However, if the bill collector says, John Smith, and you were to say, "May I ask who is calling?" The collector is not allowed to say, "I'm calling from ABC Collection Agency," because that would disclose the existence of a debt. So until you acknowledge the fact that you are the person that the collector wants to speak with, the collector cannot start the collection call. So you can essentially prevent a collector calling you from commencing a collection call by declining to acknowledge who you are. The final way that you can avoid collection calls is simply to hang up. When someone calls you, and it doesn't matter if it's a bill collector or anyone else, like a duct cleaning salesperson, you are under no obligation to speak with that person, and you are perfectly within your rights to hang up the phone on that person. I hope that this YouTube video has provided you with some insights on how to avoid collection calls. Hi, I'm Mark from Debt Coach Silverthorn, and we'd like to get your feedback in terms of what some of our future YouTube topics should be. Draw from your pain and your own experience and let us know. For example, how to stop collection calls, or the top 10 tactics for protecting your assets and income from your creditors. But please let us know what kind of topics you would like us to cover in some of our upcoming YouTube videos. Thanks.